To most people, altered states of consciousness, mystical visions, near-death experiences, out-of-body travel, belong to the domain of religion, myth, or psychology. But Itzhak Bentov, with the mind of an engineer and the curiosity of a mystic, approached these states differently. He didn't want to believe in them, he wanted to measure them. His fascination was simple yet profound. What if experiences that feel supernatural are actually natural extensions of human biology? What if spiritual ecstasy and deep meditation are not anomalies of the brain, but results of precise, measurable resonant mechanics within the human system? In Stalking the Wild Pendulum, Bentov offered a daring model, one that could bridge the gap between mystical experience and physical law. He proposed that altered states arise when the oscillatory systems of the human body, particularly the brain and the heart, enter resonance with each other and with the electromagnetic field of the earth. To him, the human being was a biological oscillator, a living system of rhythmic cycles, the heartbeat, the breath, the pulse of blood through arteries, the firing of neurons, the electromagnetic waves of the brain. Each of these operates at its own frequency, but under the right conditions, they can synchronize, a process known as entrainment. Bentov's insight was that entrainment creates coherence, a unified field of vibration that allows consciousness to shift its reference point. When the body's rhythms align into harmony, awareness can extend beyond the physical body's boundaries. Imagine a choir of oscillators, your heart beating at 72 cycles per minute, your brain pulsing with alpha waves around 8 to 10 hertz, your breath slowing to match them, your blood flow steady and smooth. When all these systems fall into rhythm, their waves combine into a larger, more stable standing wave, a field that surrounds the body like an electromagnetic halo. Bentov theorized that this field acts as a resonant cavity, similar to how a tuning fork vibrates when exposed to a certain pitch. When that alignment occurs, Bentov believed the nervous system temporarily shifts its mode of operation. The sensory filters that keep consciousness anchored in physical space begin to relax. The brain, still active, begins processing input not from the physical senses, but from non-local fields of information. In this state, perception expands. The sense of I am here dissolves and awareness becomes diffuse, borderless, and radiant. Many mystics describe this as merging with light, entering the void, or experiencing unity with the cosmos. Bentov described it as the oscillation of consciousness reaching a higher harmonic. He used engineering analogies to make sense of it. When a machine vibrates at its natural frequency and receives an external impulse at the same frequency, its amplitude increases dramatically, a phenomenon called resonant amplification. The same happens in the body. When the oscillations of heart, brain, and earth align, the amplitude of consciousness spikes and awareness lifts into subtler dimensions. To the mystic, this feels like leaving the body. To the physicist, it's an energy phase shift. The mind is no longer locked into the sensory frame of the physical nervous system. It's now tuned to a higher bandwidth of the universal spectrum. Bentov explained that this experience doesn't require mysticism or faith. It is simply what happens when a system becomes resonant enough to couple with the next frequency domain. Consciousness is going somewhere. It's just perceiving a different aspect of the same energy field it already occupies. He often compared this to radio transmission. The human brain is like a receiver, tuned to a specific band of frequencies. Our ordinary waking consciousness operates on one narrow station: sensory input, linear time, physical experience. But when we meditate, when we still the noise of thought, the receiver detunes from that channel and begins to pick up the subtler frequencies that surround it all the time. Altered states, in Bentov's model, are expanded bandwidths of perception. Nothing supernatural happens, we simply become aware of what's always there. This was one of Bentov's most revolutionary insights. The mystical is mechanical. He dared to say that enlightenment, ecstasy, and transcendence could be described in the same language as electronics, wave theory, and resonance. In one of his diagrams, Bentov illustrated how the oscillating human system creates standing waves between the top of the head and the perineum, a resonance cavity within the torso. As energy flows upward along the spinal column, what Eastern traditions call kundalini, It reflects between these 2 points, amplifying the wave and activating higher centers of perception. He connected this to the sensations meditators often describe: a vibration in the head, pressure at the crown, or the feeling of rising energy through the spine. To Bentov, these weren't hallucinations or imagination. They were the physical signatures of resonance within the body's energy field. As the amplitude of this internal wave increases, the oscillation extends beyond the body's surface, expanding the person's electromagnetic field. At a certain threshold, this expansion can cause what feels like a separation of awareness from the physical body. The individual perceives themselves as floating, viewing their body from above, or existing in a luminous sphere. Bentov described this not as a disconnection but as a phase transition, consciousness shifting from one vibratory mode, the physical, to another, the etheric. In the same way that ice melts into water and water evaporates into vapor, awareness transitions into a subtler medium without ceasing to exist. He emphasized that the transition is reversible. The pendulum always returns. No one truly leaves their body. They merely shift where their awareness is focused along the continuum of vibration. Bentov's work also explained time distortion in altered states. When the oscillations slow down, subjective time expands. A single second can feel like an eternity. The pendulum of consciousness moves closer to its still point where the perception of time collapses. This is why, during mystical experiences or deep meditation, practitioners often report timelessness, infinite spaciousness, or a sense of being beyond duration altogether. From the outside, it might look as if the body is simply resting, motionless, but within, a symphony of resonance is occurring, electrical fields harmonizing, energy centers synchronizing, brain hemispheres balancing, and the nervous system entering a mode of superconductive awareness. Bentov hypothesized that during these moments, the brain acts as a transducer, converting energy from one form to another. Instead of only processing sensory signals from the physical world, it begins to translate subtler, non-local energies into experience. This could explain the vivid imagery, deep emotional waves, and profound insights often accompanying altered states. He also saw parallels with quantum mechanics. Just as particles exist in multiple states until observed, consciousness, too, exists in a spectrum of potential realities. When the mind's oscillations stabilize, it can resonate with any layer of this quantum field. Altered states, therefore, are not escapes from reality but deeper penetrations into it. And because each human being is a unique oscillator, each will resonate differently. Some will experience visual light, others sound, some will feel unity, others deep silence. The pattern depends on the structure of your inner instrument. Bentov's description gives new meaning to ancient spiritual practices. Prayer, chanting, fasting, breathwork, all of these, in his view, are technologies of resonance. They alter the oscillatory patterns of the body to induce coherence and raise consciousness to higher frequencies. He often compared the process to tuning a musical instrument. Before a violin can produce a beautiful tone, its strings must be tightened to the right tension. Likewise, before the mind can experience expanded consciousness, its internal vibrations must be tuned, balanced between relaxation and alertness, stillness and flow. Bentov suggested that when resonance reaches its highest coherence, awareness can even transcend the boundaries of self, entering what mystics describe as the universal mind or field of pure awareness. In that state, information isn't learned. It is directly known. Insight arrives whole, like a download from the fabric of the universe itself. From a physiological perspective, Bentov pointed to standing wave harmonics that form between the human body and the Earth's electromagnetic field. These harmonics, he theorized, could account for reports of remote perception, telepathy, or intuitive knowing. Consciousness, when resonant enough, may not be limited by space, because space itself is part of the oscillating medium. And so, to Bentov, the extraordinary was not a violation of nature, it was nature, revealed through a deeper understanding of resonance. He stripped the mystique from mystical experience not to diminish it but to honor it, to show that what saints and yogis experienced for millennia could perhaps be explained by the same laws that govern pendulum's waves and frequencies. For him, Altered states were not supernatural gifts, but the next phase in human evolution, a natural expansion of awareness as we learn to master our own vibration. The body, when harmonized, becomes a bridge between worlds, a biological portal that allows consciousness to swing between dimensions without losing balance. When the body vibrates in harmony, Bentov wrote, the consciousness it houses begins to vibrate with the universe itself, and at that moment, when the oscillations merge, when the pendulum of awareness reaches its furthest point, something wondrous occurs. The sense of separation fades. The edges of the self dissolve, and for a brief moment, you remember what you truly are, not a body containing awareness, but awareness containing everything.